All right, let's jump right into this masterclass explainer for the inner lab. Today, we're unpacking something literally foundational: presence-driven leadership. We're going to look at how to consciously stretch out that critical, completely invisible space between getting emotionally triggered and how you actually react out loud. It's really all about reclaiming your internal authority, shifting from total chaos to grounded calm. And honestly, it changes absolutely everything about how we lead and connect with others. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. Okay, I want us just to let those words from Viktor Frankl's settle for a second. That invisible space, that is the absolute bedrock of emotional mastery. It's exactly where true presence-driven leadership is born. Because without that space, well, we're basically entirely at the mercy of whatever is happening around us. So, why does this matter? Well, the high cost of emotional blindness is, frankly, huge. Just look at the contrast here. On the one hand, you've got reaction. That's when you're essentially a hostage to your feelings, right? Acting impulsively, maybe saying things you can't take back, and risking the trust you've worked so incredibly hard to build. On the flip side is discernment. This is a conscious, deeply strategic response anchored right in your own internal authority. It's the difference between being a leaf blown around by the wind and being the solid mountain that the wind just blows against. And that brings us to the B.R.E.A.T.H. method. Now, before we go further, I want to be super clear. This isn't just some fluffy motivational cliche. No way. This is a highly practical 15-second technique specifically designed to help you manage powerful emotions in real time. Think of it as your actionable blueprint to literally step out of the chaos of a triggered moment and right back into complete, grounded alignment. So let's break down exactly how this works. Okay, starting with B. That stands for become aware. You see, true self-awareness actually starts with simply observing your internal emotional weather as it rolls in. Maybe you notice your jaw clenching or your shoulders tensing up, or maybe your breathing gets a little shallow. The key here? You're not judging it, and you're definitely not reacting to it yet. You're just gathering the data. Next up is R for recognize, and I love this because it brilliantly illustrates a core truth about emotional intelligence. Your emotions are messengers. They're bringing you valuable information. They are absolutely not commands that dictate your behavior. So anger or anxiety might be flagging a boundary violation or telling you to prepare for something. But recognizing them as just simple data points, that completely strips away their power to run the show. Moving on to the next step, let's see how we physically build our capacity to actually take a pause. E is for exhale. Specifically, exhaling slowly for 6 counts. Actually, let's just take a deliberate measured pause right here. By extending that exhale, you are physically activating your parasympathetic nervous system. You're literally sending a biological signal to your brain saying, hey, we are safe, which directly counteracts your body's natural fight or flight response. Then we have A, which stands for accept. Now, this step takes some real self-compassion. You have to accept the emotion without judging yourself for feeling it in the first place. Just allow yourself to honor the feeling fully. Whatever you do, don't compound a difficult moment with shame or frustration just because you got triggered. It's a completely normal human response. Just gently let it be there. So now that your nervous system is actually settling down, T reminds us to think. Think about your true intention. I want you to briefly connect with your internal authority right here. Ask yourself, what outcome do I genuinely want to create in this relationship or in this specific situation? What does a truly aligned response look like for me right now? And that leads us seamlessly right into H, handle. Handle the situation strategically. Because you've successfully expanded that vital space between the stimulus and your response, you can now move away from a purely emotional knee-jerk reaction. Instead, you move toward a thoughtful strategy. And honestly, this is exactly how you preserve those opportunities and those deep connections you've cultivated. Finally, the last E is for engage. Engage with purpose. Notice that you aren't avoiding the difficult conversation. You aren't shutting down. No, you're stepping into it, fully conscious, centered, empowered, and ready to contribute actual value. This final step, it's pretty much the very definition of presence-driven leadership in action. Ultimately, reclaiming your internal authority isn't about never feeling angry or anxious or overwhelmed. That's impossible. It's about making the active shift from emotional confusion to conscious alignment. And if you practice this simple 15-second system consistently, it will fundamentally transform your daily interactions, for sure. It builds the kind of unshakable, authentic leadership that other people just naturally trust and want to follow. We've covered some pretty profound concepts in this explainer today. But as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with just one final thought. The very next time you feel the heat of an emotional trigger rising, remember that powerful space you possess. What intention will guide your next response? I'm going to leave you to just sit with that in calm contemplation for a moment. Thanks for joining me in the Inner Lab today.